Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next isolation interview. We just had some crazy technical issues in the middle of our interview before. So it was only a minute in, though, so hopefully no one missed too much. With me today is Paolo of Trivium. How are you doing?
Back again.
Yes, exactly. Your dogs are being very patient and not chiming in right now, so that's awesome of that. And then,
thankfully.
We were just talking about how, one, the dogs are very happy to have Dad home in isolation as something positive right now. And number two, we were talking about what the Dead Men Say coming up. And so just to catch everyone up to speed, what the Dead Men Say is coming out in less than a month, April 24th.
Yep.
And I'll ask this question again if you could give a brief summary. What are some of the exciting things you're looking forward to bringing to the table and excited to share with everyone on the new album coming out on the 24th?
We're excited to see if we lived up to the expectations we set for ourselves. The Sin in the Sentence was a real, I think kind of a monumental record for us. I think it really kind of got people stoked on Trivium again, especially with the old school fans. A lot of new people kind of got into us with that record, and we wanted to try to top it on this one. And we had Josh Wilbur with us again, producing it. And the first two songs, the reaction has been great. So, if you liked what you heard on those two songs, we got a lot of proggy, dark stuff coming your way.
Was the direction intentional, to go more of a proggy, not a full right turn, but kind of shift lanes a little bit to do something from the Sin in the Sentence over to this next lane?
Yeah, I think it really just came down to Alex being in the band for a full record cycle and just kind of developing, our writing relationship and knowing that he could just do so much, with the last record, he came in, we had written a lot of the riffs and stuff, so he was kind of walking into a record kind of being, written at that point.
Yeah.
So with this one, it was from the, he was in from the beginning, and so that kind of, altered how we were going to write this record. And we knew, with everything that Alex could do, we were just okay, we'll try to level it up and let's have more fun with it and, see what we can do. And, try to keep these songs exciting and catchy, but still add in a little bit of that, progginess that we've been known for in the past.
Yeah. So two things. One, if you're interested in hearing the Catastrophist or the title track, you can just scroll down below in the pinned comments. I'll post those after this interview is done. Number two, when you talk about going in, having fun with this, does this feel now like you actually are really not so much focused on, okay, now how do we make this album stand out? Is this now a stage for Trivium where you guys are having fun, you're more relaxed, or does it feel like this is the next big evolution? Where were your minds for album planning and making go forward? Yes, I guess is a good way to put it.
Every record, of course, you'd like to try to make it the best record, the biggest record, any of those things. But I think we've just realized at this point, we know how to write records, we know how to do things. And if we're not feeling it in the rehearsal room, then we're not going to make great music. And I think, just when we get in there, if a song's not happening, it's not going to get better in the recording. It's not going to be better live. It's got to feel good when the four of us are in the room by ourselves and make this, the kind of the magic of writing music happen. And, we all are such fans of all types of music in metal, and we're fans of what we do. We know what works, and it's we got to feel that. I don't think you can just force an idea that doesn't feel right at this point. And that's why with this record, we're just very selective with the riffs and everything we chose. We're very hard on ourselves in a good way. We weren't just this is a cool idea, let's try this out. We were very focused, okay, these are the types of songs we need. This is, if we had a fast song, the next song we went into, we would approach from a different angle just to try to make the record more dynamic and more interesting.
That is so refreshing to hear that you didn't just go in there trying to figure out what you do as you went, flying by the seat of your pants, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of people are burnt out by that. And coming from the Sin in the Sentence, where it definitely didn't feel like that, and now hearing that's the approach for this one, I don't know. That for me, that's refreshing to hear that there's good bands really trying to take that approach and not just relying on a single or something to get catchy, and then that's it.
Yeah, I feel like right now, with no touring happening, we really have to rely only on our music. It's live or die by the music we've made, and it's going to have to stand by itself even without the touring or any hype of anything outside of that. So I'm glad we focused on every single song, because I think each song on this record is going to matter. And, you know, maybe we're in a streaming world, but albums are still the best way to present your ideas and your vision for the band. I think in metal and rock that it's still, you know, going to be a thing. You know, maybe in the future it won't, but, you know, I think it's a nice way to, like, view stuff. I mean, it's the difference between looking at a massive painting on a museum wall and looking at, like, a thumbnail on a screen or something of, like, a painting, you know? It's the medium that works best for our type of music.
Yeah, and before we went live, we were talking about touring and how everything's in flux right now and just in a constant state of limbo. You guys had on a killer tour, Megadeth, Lamb of God, Trivium, In Flames. Now, we don't know when that's going to start.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very in flux right now. We just aren't sure. So, looking at it now, how excited you were to go on this tour the beginning of this month, March 1st. Now, where's your mindset thinking about March 30th? Whether that's just touring in general or just this specific tour, where's your mind knowing that you're put on hiatus as a live musician?
I mean, it definitely is a shitty feeling, but it's like one of those things. It's like, you know, I'd rather everyone be safe, and, you know, with the touring this summer, there's really nothing we can do. It's going to come down to, you know, the response that's out of our hands, and, you know, we're kind of just waiting, and it's like being in limbo kind of sucks. But having a new record coming out, I sort of like lessens that blow. I feel like if we were just sitting home and nothing was happening, it would definitely feel like, damn, this really sucks. But I'm at least excited for something that's coming up. So I'm just staying focused on the new music coming out. You know, there's a lot of things we'd like to do for the promo of this record that are just like, comes down to, is it safe to even travel? Is it worth it to risk it to do like some things we want to do? And it's just like everything's up in the air, and we really have no good answers for that. And that's it sucks. You know, touring is the lifeblood of all the bands and artists out right now, and it's been put on hold.
I mean, I do think of it this way. I'm glad that the brunt of the album work is all set for you guys, because say you were in the beginning stages or halfway through, everything's on hold then. You can't just get together and go back to the studio at that point.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare.
That probably would have drove you insane at that point. So that's...
that would have been the worst, I think.
Yeah, like saying like, okay, well, we can try to record this on Discord or Skype, or maybe we'll get lucky. Yeah, so it's little positives like that. But from what I understand, also we were talking about this too, there's so many other bands, like you were talking about, touring is the lifeblood, and that's a great way to look at it. And that's for accomplished older and younger bands as well, maybe more so for younger. So I guess the best way to say this is, what do you expect to happen in the next few months, coming from you, who's been who's virtually lived on the road for a good amount of your career?
I mean, I think like for a band like us, like we're established, having a new record out, I'll have a lot more attention on us. I feel, you know, we can definitely weather the storm. I think, you know, for the entire industry, this is going to be a big shock. For bands that are newer, I mean, I feel terrible because, you know, if this would have happened when we put out Ascendancy, like, you know, do we even like have a chance? I don't know. And I feel very bad for a lot of new bands coming out that are having to just kind of sit and wait. You know, that's an awful feeling to have. And then for, you know, bands that got to get out on the road to make money, of course, you know, we're a band that makes a lot of our money on tour. So it's, you know, it's just one of those things that you're like, okay, well, hopefully this can get wrapped up in a couple months, but, you know, no one really knows. And it's going to be a shock for bands, for our crew, I feel terrible for our crew, for all the crews, because, you know, normally it's like, well, if a tour falls through, I go to work at maybe another club at home, or I do another side job. And it's like, if everything's off, like, what do you do, you know?
I think that's a big thing too, because if this would have happened mid-2000s for you guys, your options would have been, like, say something would have happened like this, not even so much with the band itself dissolving, but not a worldwide pandemic, you would at least would have had options. Right now, there's no venues to work at. There's no studios to actually go into right now. So I think about that too. I guess that's why I kind of wanted your look at that, because you're one that's lived the business both on the road and in the industry side. And it's this is brand new for everyone. And going back to the road stuff, we're hearing more and more about artists now coming in contact with the pandemic disease and stuff like that. We were talking about Chuck Billy just briefly before. We were talking about other people. What's in your mind right now going on, just as you're going to try to plan touring again? Are there concerns for you personally?
I mean, definitely, everyone's going to have to be a lot more careful. I mean, this isn't something that's going to be just going away overnight. Right. So I hope that, people start to, of course, take it serious, but also maybe starting to wear masks and stuff. Like, it's pretty much a cultural thing in Asia right now. Like, we've been touring overseas for a long time. So I'm just used to going to Japan, and, a lot of people wear masks when they're out because everyone's a lot more condensed and together. And, they're already showing that has really kind of helped to blunt a lot of the spread of things. So maybe that's something we should pick up, and be like, hey, let's just kind of add this to just our personal hygiene here. And, we do tons of meet and greets, for this tour coming up in the summer. Pretty much every meet and greet has sold out. And, we don't want to stop that. We don't want to stop meeting our fans, but, we don't want to be vectors of the disease either for getting a bunch of people sick. And of course, this isn't just you feel bad and get up on stage. I've played when I've had flu-like symptoms, and we've all played when we were sick and lost our voice, but not being able to breathe is sort of a big issue when it comes to, being alive and singing and just this is very serious. So we're going to have to kind of consider a lot of things, but first it's we have to just wait and see, what's the big plan. And we're not in those, we're not in those meetings. So we're just kind of sitting and waiting like everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing I didn't even think about, meet and greets. That's a huge thing for bands right now too, especially middle range and younger bands and older bands as well. What do you do? Do you put up that glass wall at the bank? Yeah. And just talk around it or something like that?
We're going to have to bubble boy it or something, we're going to have to be...
And just spray Windex and disinfectant cleaner and scrub up the bubble after every time?
Yeah. I mean, we're always pretty good about that anyway, with just it's good after you meet 40, 50 people probably to wash your hands and not touch your face. But it's at this point, it's that would be kind of a nightmare scenario. And of course, all the touring has been canceled because of that. But it's not even just show pay, but VIPs and stuff. A lot of bands make, their living by doing that kind of stuff. And it's going to be really tense, I think, over the next year or so. I think, of course, it's tough too because it's everyone's feeling it, fans are feeling it. And I'm it's hard to get up there and be well, hey, feel bad for me. I can't tour. I can't do what I do for a living. But a lot of people are getting crunched now. And I'm is doing touring and asking people to come out and spend a lot of money on you. Is that even a thing that's going to be possible? Or I don't know. It's a lot of stuff like that. And I feel I'm thankful I'm in at least a good enough spot where I'm going to be okay for a bit. But a lot of people aren't. And so I'd feel bad making, I don't want to go out and be hey, chip in and give me money. I feel I want people to be able to be safe and healthy, and you got to take care of yourself and your family first. Of course, streaming our music and watching our videos, that does help us. And if you feel oh, you're not supporting bands, even little things like that, that's great. And if you can buy merch for bands, that's awesome too. And, help out when you can, but, take care of yourself first, because I want people to come see us when we get back out on tour. I don't want people getting sick or feeling just stressed and strained from, this situation. Yeah. It's going to probably get worse before it gets better. And then, that's for all of us, fans included.
Yeah. I mean, two things. One, this is mean of me, but I've always made the joke that I've been to many festivals. Why can't people afford deodorant if they can't afford a festival ticket? Now, why can't they afford hand sanitizer if they can afford a festival ticket?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the new transition now?
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be interesting. I think this is going to change a lot of people's minds about things like this. Again, like I said, we've toured in Asia quite a bit over the years, and we actually were in Japan when the swine flu hit. There's actually a video online of us where we were quarantined on our plane for an extra hour and a half after we landed in Japan because they came through and they checked everyone's temperature,
right.
and someone in a row near us had a fever. So they let everyone off the plane but our section, and so we had to sit there and
breathe in that sick person's. Oh,
yeah, we're trying. They took the person off the plane, but then they had to keep us just in case. And then they, the people came on. They had all the masks and the hazmat suits, and like we're trying to like ask what's happening. And of course, there's like a language barrier there with what's happening. It was definitely tense, but this is definitely on a whole another scale for bands and stuff to shut down the entire, the economy you have to keep people safe and keep people from getting sick. It's a wild situation.
Yeah. I mean, people are making their own masks now and stuff. Do you think that's going to be festival fashion? Like at this point now, custom masks? Maybe you get the Trivium mask going with the actual logo on there. Not a bad idea.
Once production gets back up, but we'll see what happens. Maybe Trivium masks will be a thing.
Yeah, hey, you know what? That actually sounds good. You guys can do like cool pre-orders for merch, upcoming merch with the album right now too on your site.
Yeah.
That might be something to think about. So that way, hey, I survived 2019 and got to see Trivium. So here's my memory of that.
Yeah, we'll have to do a special edition of that.
Special edition Trivium breathing mask. Breathe metal. Yeah, there you go.
N95 Trivium mask.
Yeah, there you go. So we talked about this. I mean, we're now getting news. As of this recording, April 30th is the prospective hopeful date that we might see some normality or at least news, but that's still up in the air. What is your hope for going forward from this point round? I mean, we're March 30th, April 30th, a month out. Yeah. What's your hope for the rest of 2019? Like your projective timeline, if you have one at all, outside of the album coming out, which is already kind of in stone.
Yeah.
What else are you hoping happens this year for the positive, for you and the dogs? Because, by the way, one of them poked their head out a couple times. I just want to make sure they're welcome in the interview too.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we can get things back to somewhat normal. I don't know if normal is going to be a thing that happened for quite a while, but at least like whatever that scaled back version is. I think, hopefully it's so hard. Like we were saying, like putting a date on something like this of this magnitude seems like very, I don't know, like just getting people's hopes up, or maybe it sends the wrong message. I just think like, I would rather things be more extreme now and get things back to normal sooner than like prolong this. So, I mean, I guess that's really all I'm hoping for is like, if it's going to take something extreme, like shutting everything down for a month and everyone just stay inside their house, like let's like save the rest of the year and save a lot of people as opposed to just stringing this along. And, I'm from Florida, so I know our state down there is going to probably be the last state to do the right things. Yeah. So I'm hoping everyone does the opposite of Florida, and maybe we'll just
that's a general rule of life for a lot of places. Though
might have to just block Florida off for a little bit, just quarantine that, and maybe we'll get back to normal soon.
Was it that the old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's sawing off Florida at the line? Yeah, maybe
that probably has to happen.
Yeah, Georgia, you know what to do. So I mean, we joke around, but Florida. I think we were talking about this before. Florida. The elderly people are not going to be told no, and the college kids are not going to stop partying. So, what's to do left? I mean, we talked about. Go ahead. You know Florida better than I do, being from there. I only lived there for a while.
I mean, the moment like I like kind of had this inkling that like things were going to definitely change here. My first thought was that Florida was going to be the absolute last state to do all of the things that like should be done, and like. The spring break, it was like terrible timing. And of course it was like, well, we're going to let it happen and then travel back to their houses and, take this back to their home states. And then I just kept thinking about the villages, which is, for people that don't know, it's like essentially like, 80 to 100,000, like over 65 people. And like, good luck going there and telling people they can't go golf, because like that is not happening, I don't even know like what you're gonna do in that situation. But if your parents live or your grandparents live in the villages, just do your best to be like, hey, why don't you stay in? You don't
need to drive the golf cart around town today. You don't, Grandma. You don't.
Yeah, just chill inside, like enjoy that retirement life inside and just, relax. There's plenty of stuff online and Netflix to watch
and that's the thing too. We can FaceTime, we can Skype and Discord. It's 1 month,
Yeah,
and that's
actually, you need to start calling up your grandparents. All those times you've missed calling your grandparents, like you got to do it now. This is national security. You need to like call your grandparents as much as you can and get them inside.
Wash your hands, call your grandparents. That's step 2.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, seriously, just keep them on the phone.
Hey, Grandma, did you wash your hands today? Grandma?
Yeah.
Grandma? That type of thing. So,
yes.
Okay, this has been great. I know you got other stuff you need to do. I am going to say this. There's people that have really been saying a lot of good stuff in the chat, and just like both chats, because we had 2 different feeds for this thing. Looking forward to the new album. People saying Alex is doing a great job for the singles they've heard too, and I agree. So I'll end with this. I like asking the same question every time, and if you have to think about it, that's fine. I always ask for your favorite crazy fan story while you're playing on stage over the years. So whatever show that is, whether that's something crazy, funny, gross, heartwarming, whatever it is, the most memorable to you, what's a good story you have? Like while you were playing, you look up and your jaw drops for whatever reason.
I feel like this has happened a few times for us, and I've seen it happen for other bands. I would say it's crazy, but it's always cool. As I love when at the festivals when people will pick someone up that maybe is in like a wheelchair or something, and they'll crowd surf them to the front, and like the amount of people it takes to keep someone stable and like safely get them across a crowd. Because like when you watch crowd surfing, it's always so wild. People just flying up in the air and falling.
That's right.
Yeah, and like the care that people have in this like sort of chaotic situation to get someone up in the air and then like bring them to the front, and the security guards bringing them down. Like to me, that's always like such a wild thing, because when you're watching the crowd, you're like, wow, everyone's going nuts. But that the fact that even amongst this chaos, people can still care about something and make sure that everyone's having a great time and they can get to experience a concert in the full capacity. And I always love seeing that. And to me, that's the better stuff. I mean, there's definitely been crazy stuff of like Matt stopping fights before in the crowd.
Okay,
so
good.
I think the positive stuff is definitely the focus. And I think more often than not, people are having a good time, even in these crazy metal shows where people think it's just pure violence. But at least at Trivium shows, I feel like people are always looking out for one another and picking people up when they fall, and just about having a good time.
From the times I've seen Trivium, it gets wild, but everyone's focused. No one's so out of control that like everyone's getting hurt or anything like that. So you guys do a good job of encouraging chaos, but maintaining order in that weird.
Yeah, you got to know when to pull it back.
Yeah, exactly. So that being said, thank you for your time. Is there anything you'd like to share before we start signing off with the crowd, with everyone watching that's going to watch this on the backlog too, because this goes live as a video as soon as it's done?
Yeah, just thank you to everyone that's been checking out the video, that's just, been checking in with us about how we're doing. We really want to make sure that everyone stays safe and that we see you guys, when we get back out on tour. So the most important thing is just to be safe right now and take it serious. We're taking it serious, and we hope that you guys will come see us when we get back out on the road.
Awesome. Thank you very much. What the Dead Men Say, out April 24th. You can check out music videos and the songs below in the YouTube comments. Finally, the last question before we start signing off. Did the dogs have a say in the album? Because I saw them behind you. Did they get their voices heard in everything for What the Dead Men Say?
Yeah, we got our one dog, Mochi, a couple months ago. So him and our other dog, Lady, got to hear me writing a lot of the music that was put onto the record. So I think they had their say. They approved. If they weren't feeling a riff, they'd get out of the room, and if they were into it, maybe they'd come in. So that's how I write records now.
You got the stamp of approval from 2 dogs.
Yeah.
There you go. That's awesome. Thank you very much. Please check out the singles. Check out Catastrophist and the title track. Thank you again, and we hope to see you on the road soon, sometime this year.
Yes, hopefully too.